Welcome to DIY Marketing for Small Business. My name is Aidan Crawford and I work with Short Circuit Media. In fact, I'm the president of Short Circuit Media. And over the next 20 to 30 minutes, I'm going to talk about some marketing tools and tips that you can apply to your business to make it more successful in 2018. If you want to get a copy of this slide presentation, you can always go to shortcircuitmedia.com/PCBIA, and I will have the slide deck there as well as this video. Now, I'm going to walk you through four distinct parts of this presentation. The first one is defining your customer, focusing your marketing strategy, explaining why you get what you pay for online when it comes to marketing, and also then show you some free tools that you need to be using in order to market yourself better. Now, the first part is defining your customer. Now, just as a little introduction, I'd like you to know that most companies I work with have a lot of trouble defining who their ideal customer is. You could say they take the Field of Dreams approach, which is the old Kevin Costner movie, where they figure they've got an expertise, somebody's willing to pay for it, they hang out a shingle, and their marketing is basically, I hope somebody pays for it. So you need to realize right away that not everyone is your ideal client. My mother is not your ideal client. My son is not your ideal client. So why would you be marketing to everybody? You need to focus. And the first thing to focus on is discover whether you are a B2B or B2C company. Do you sell basically business to business or business to consumer? This is a big one, because if you say that I do most of my business with consumers, but you get most of your revenue from working with businesses, then you are a B2B company that happens to work with consumers. If it's the other way around, if you sell mostly to consumers, but you do some work with businesses, you're B2C. So you can be a hybrid, but know which one is generating the most revenue versus who's bringing in the most clients. The next thing to do is realize that there are other people who do what you do. So your goal is to understand what your unique selling proposition is. So I'm going to pick on accountants an awful lot today. So if you're an accountant and you happen to have an expertise in business, then you shouldn't be marketing yourself to a whole bunch of consumers when really your ideal pitch is, I have an expertise in tax law as it applies to small business. That shows people that you bring something to the table that is unique and different from your competition. This works in every industry. I said accountant, but it could be a lawyer too. If you're a lawyer and your expertise is family law, play it up. You know, I'm not going to, if I'm looking for a lawyer who is a shark and is going to sue people, and you're not that person, you know, why are you advertising to me? Be specific on who you advertise, figure out who your ideal client is, create that model on a bit of paper. Say, you know, my ideal client is, let's say you're a realtor. My ideal client is somebody in their mid-40s who's at a director level or higher, who is looking to move out of Toronto and into Port Credit. Once you know who your ideal client is, then it becomes a lot easier to market it. You've got an idea. So you've got to focus your marketing strategy. Once you've focused your marketing strategy, you've got to start creating compelling content on a consistent basis that actually speaks to that target that you've defined. Now, a lot of people's eyes are going to glaze over when I say that you're going to start writing a blog. Not everybody can write a blog. I understand that. Creating content comes easy for some. You know, there's a reason people hire my company to come in and write their blogs for them. For others, it's very hard. But writing a blog helps you with SEO, helps build credibility within your target market, and you can use it as the basis for your monthly newsletter. One of the first clients I ever worked with, every month, it would come up to the last week of the month, and he would spend 2 days creating his newsletter. 2 full days out of every month went to creating his newsletter because he had no content up until that last week. And then he had to pull something out of his butt to say that he could get something out to say he had a newsletter. You don't want to be that guy. So it's a lot easier to prepare throughout the month and just create content incrementally and then use that content for the basis for your newsletter. That way you can cut down your newsletter content, the time it takes to make your newsletter, 20, 30 minutes. Now, if you are going to create content on a consistent basis, where do you get it? Well, there's a hard way and there's an easy way. The hard way is to create everything yourself from scratch twice a week. Now, that means sitting down, looking at a blank screen and saying, hey, I got to fill 300 words here. What am I going to write about? So then you go make a coffee, do your laundry, you wander around a bit more. What am I going to write about? That is difficult. There's nothing more intimidating than a blank screen. I don't know who said it. It's a great quote. I should look it up, but it is definitely the truth. As a writer, I know that. Now, the easy way is to curate content on social media. Now, there's a tool that Google actually gives you. It's google.com/alerts. And what that tool does is you put in keywords and it will send you news articles based on those keywords. So let's go back to the accountant and say, I'm an accountant who works with corporations. And so I look for, I put in keywords into Google. It says changes to Canadian corporate tax law. And every day I'm going to get articles that are written all over Canada on corporate tax law. So then I can send those out to social media, and people say that, look, he's keeping up with the latest and greatest and the newest changes and things. It really builds your credibility. The next way is to actually contribute to the discussion. Let's say you get an article on changes to Canadian corporate tax law. So you can quote that article in your blog, link back to the original article, so you want to give it credit, and then contribute to the discussion. How do these changes apply to your clients? So you just add a little twist. So, you quote heavily. So, this article says A, B, C, D, D. If for my clients, this is the most important part that they should be focusing on. You do that and you can create content very easily within 10 or 15 minutes every time you want to create a new blog post. That works for every industry. If you are a realtor, you can set Google alerts for price changes or mortgage changes or mortgage rate changes, and again, quote heavily from the original article, and then link back to it. Make sure you always link back to it. Google loves when you link back to it. Otherwise, it looks like you're stealing the content. You don't want to be plagiarizing anything. So you link back to it, quote heavily, link back to it, and then say, my ideal clients, or you can say that, as a realtor, this is how I've seen it affecting my clients, and this is how it's going to affect my clients going forward. This is how you can prepare for it. These all become part of your newsletter, which again then goes out on a monthly basis to your clients so that they know that you're not just trying to sell to them, you're actually giving them really good content and giving them a reason to come back to you and refer you to other people. Now, another part of focusing your marketing strategy is understanding the way you're going to reach out to people and the channels that you should be using. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is my mom does not care about my job. She doesn't really know what I do. As long as I bring her an infant to squeeze to death every week, she's happy. So if you're on Facebook, do not annoy your friends and don't make your family block your feed. I have a story when Facebook was, 3 or 4 years ago. Actually, it's probably 7 or 8 years ago now. A guy I went to high school with sent me a friend request on Facebook, and I don't know how many. This will probably ring true for a lot of you. So he sends me the friend request on Facebook, and within 10, 15 minutes, I start getting bombarded with stuff on my Facebook feed about his business and specials going on at his restaurant and his catering business. And it did nothing but annoy me, and I ditched him right away. He did not see me as a person. He didn't treat me as a human being. He treated me as a data point, and he just wanted to connect with as many people as he could so he could spam them about his business. That doesn't work. It annoys people, turns them off, and makes them less likely to refer you. Now, saying that, Facebook is great for B2C. If you're selling to consumers, just don't do it through your personal Facebook feed. Create a business page and put your business content there. I have a personal business page. I have a personal Facebook page where I don't accept any professional connections. The reason I don't do that is because the people I went to university with and got drunk with have no interest in what I'm doing, just like my mom. They want to see pictures of my kids. They want to see pictures of my wife, my dog. If they're feeling really generous, they'll want to see a picture of me. But my personal feed is really for actual friends and family. I have a business page where Short Circuit Media stuff goes out to. LinkedIn and Twitter, however, they are my B2B channels. I use those for all my professional connections. So I am always working my LinkedIn, making it look professional, and my Twitter account. Now the reason is these are where I get to build my professional credibility. So I can go to LinkedIn, and if you go to my LinkedIn page, you will see that I'm regularly posting articles. If I post a new blog, I always post it to LinkedIn as well. So it's always there. I post regularly to LinkedIn throughout the day because I use a tool called Revival Posts, which sends out my evergreen content, my evergreen blogs back. It recirculates them back into social media every day. The idea behind that is that you want to play in the same box where your prospective clients are playing. So for me, I'm a B2B company. My services are for other professionals, speakers, traders, consultants. That's what I always say. I do work for other people, but that's kind of that's my space. So I want to be in that same sandbox, and that sandbox happens to be Twitter and LinkedIn. That's where those people hang out. Facebook, on the other hand, if I was selling, T-shirts or something like that, I have my business page, and it's there. It's important to help me build an audience, but I don't get a lot of traffic from Facebook. I will say my wife, who is a fitness instructor and owns Fitness by the Lake up on Lakeshore, fitnessbythelake.com, dealing specifically with moms and babies and that kind of area. She gets most of her business through Facebook and Instagram because that's where her audience hangs out. So again, for B2C, that's a brilliant place to be. I would not benefit from hanging out on Instagram because the CEOs and the senior executives that I work with are not on Instagram. And if they're on Facebook, they have no interest in looking at my stuff. They're interested in looking at their grandkids. This is where the Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn is really going to be changing in the next 12 to 18 months. It's already changed for Facebook. It used to be that you could send out a piece of content onto Facebook or onto Google or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, and all your connections would see it. Facebook recently changed their algorithm to make it harder for business content to get seen. So today, if you want your stuff to be seen by people outside, if you want your content to be seen by anybody realistically, you need to boost those posts. So you need to put some money at it and target a demographic you want to reach. That's great if you are, if I create a piece of content and it's specifically for consultants, I can go through the boost process and say, I just want to talk to consultants in Mississauga, people with a job title consultant in Mississauga, with that are between the ages of 40 and 55. They're the only people I want to see. And I'll put $10 towards it. It'll say, there's 10,000 of those people in Mississauga. My $10 will get me in front of 2,500 of them. And it's like, that's fine. I just want to get my piece out there. If my piece is good, it'll go viral. People will share it. It'll work and it'll be fine. That'll be worth that. If I'm going to invest the time on creating the content, I need to be able to be willing to invest the time on promoting the content. Now, another tool that LinkedIn launched last year that was really, really big, and this is another example of this, they had something called LinkedIn Publisher Post, which is still there, where you could publish basically a blog post, full-length blog post on LinkedIn, and every one of your connections would get a notification when they logged into LinkedIn that you'd put up a new blog post. And I created a blog post, and I had, I think, 700 or 800 people actually saw it and went to the blog post, liked it, shared it, did all that sort of stuff. It was amazing. Today, if I post that same thing to LinkedIn Publisher Post, I'm lucky to get 20 or 30 people that actually go to see the blog post and like it and share it. And the reason is that there's no more automatic notifications to all my contacts. So I'm putting the content up there More so that if somebody comes to my LinkedIn page, they will see that I've got like 30 or 40 articles published on LinkedIn. That's fine with me. There's also a Google payoff on that too for search. The idea is that I want to look active on LinkedIn. Now, there is a way that you can actually pay on LinkedIn to get your content seen by people. Now, LinkedIn, nobody's been doing this, so it's kind of a novelty, and I found that it's an amazing tool. And it works within the LinkedIn ads framework, and it's called a sponsored InMail. Now, if you go to LinkedIn today, you'll see there's messages there. You can actually send a sponsored InMail. So you can go through the process. You can go here on this example here, I just picked New York. And you can see it says estimated target audience, 8 million plus. I can go through and use filters for company size, company industry, job title, job function, gender, what groups they belong to, how long they've been doing it, their age, and I can get that number, and that number will shrink based on the filters I do. This is great for identifying who your audience is. It forces you to actually think, who is my ideal audience in a business-to-business context? Am I looking for the VPs? Am I looking for directors of operations? Am I looking for the CFOs? Who am I looking for? I can target that if I did it in Mississauga and get that number down to 300 or 400 people. I can then create an email message that will be delivered to their LinkedIn inbox. And you go, well, it's just another email. But it's not. I found that the open rates are actually up to about 70%. In my experience since trying this in November. And the reason I believe that it's 70% is because nobody's doing it yet. So let's go back to the accountant that I've been picking on the entire time. I'm an accountant, and I work in small business. I work with small businesses primarily. Tax season's coming up. I can go into this LinkedIn ad, go to the sponsored InMail, and go, I want to just hit people in Mississauga, with company size 1 to 10, the job title president. Right? So all of a sudden it's going from 700,000 people in Mississauga and you're down to like maybe a couple thousand people. I can go tighter. I can go, I only want people in a specific industry. Get that down to a couple hundred. Maybe it's the age. Maybe my accounting services and the way I get on works better with people that are in companies that have 10 to 20 people, and the owner, the job title is owner, and they're between the ages of 50 and 65. So then I get that number really low. The next screen after this, I can actually create the email, and I can do variations of the email and link that back to a landing page. So that will get sent out to these people. It will end up in their inbox on LinkedIn. They will open it. They will read your compelling message and link through to your landing page. And if it's tax season and here's 5 tips to get you through the next couple months to prepare you for taxes, they're going to read it. They can link back. They can get a free consultation, do whatever you want to do on your landing page, and get them that way. This is an important tool because nobody uses it yet. But people are going to be using it because it works. Now here are some of the Google tools that you should be using. Now, these are free tools, and the fact that people don't use them and small businesses don't use them shocks me a lot of the times. So Google Analytics, most people have. Google Webmasters, they have. But the big one is Google Business. A lot of people don't use the Google Business account. This is an important one where you can actually build how Google presents you to the world yourself. So you click on you go to google.com/business, and you get to put in your logo, your company description, where you're located, put on all that information. And then if somebody goes searching for your company, and this is if somebody goes searching for Short Circuit Media and they're in Port Credit, this is what comes up. So I've got some images in there. I've got there's my house, there's my address, there's my address, there's all my stuff around my business. You can see the different things that come up for Short Circuit Media when you type it in. This is important. If you're a yoga studio or a realtor or any kind of small business in Port Credit or in Mississauga in general, it doesn't matter where you are, filling this in is important. What will happen is you'll put in all your details, you'll sign up for the account. Google will actually send you a postcard to confirm. So it'll send you a postcard with a verification code on it in the mail, and you will fill that in and you will confirm your listing. At that point, you start showing up like this on Google, and that's important. If you're in, it's important if you're a restaurant. It's important if you're a realtor. It's important if you're any sort of business at all. An accountant. This is important. You want to do this, so this is local search at its best, and that's how it works. And that's it. I am going to say there's no special deals, no pitches for my services. I do have a special page with all the links to the resources that I talked about in this presentation. You can find it at shortcircuitmedia.com/PCBIA. I do have a free half-day seminar that I'm putting on with Ted Crichton, who many of you know and who is here today, in March, Effective Planning for Small Business Growth in 2018, where I will talk about marketing and Ted will talk about business planning. You can register for that at the shortcircuitmedia.com/PCBIA page. There's only 35 people that we can fit in, so if you want to sign up for that, I would sign up for it quickly. And that would be it. If you go to that page, I have the resources that I talked about, so the Google Alerts, the different tools that I talked about, as well as some articles. And if you want to book some time with me, we can get together, and I'd be happy to talk to you.